Yeah, I didn't come in here to even do an internal critique on any of your positions. I
Mhm.
don't think that even ultimately would be fair. If it was the case that it was just one-sided, you couldn't ask any questions back. I don't even think what I came in here to do instead was have a conversation with you about something else.
Yeah, whatever you want, man. If I
This
don't know though, if I don't know, I'm just gonna tell you I don't know. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
be.
yeah, that's fine. That's not a problem.
Mhm.
So, I think I've been watching a lot of this apologetics back and forth between, Orthodox and non-Orthodox, and it's interesting because I don't think that the relationship has to be as broken down as it is, and I have kind of a theory, and I wanna run my theory by you. I think that, neither side is on a truth-finding mission. They're on a dunk-finding mission, and that's part of the online political space, there's no doubt about that. But I think if there was actual debates that were going on around actual specific propositions where both sides were willing to levy themselves to an hour and a half of critique where they actually genuinely answered questions they were asked, that we'd get to the truth of a lot of these things a lot quicker from a theological perspective. What do you think?
Yeah, that's assuming that the parties at hand are trying to get to truth. So if that's the case, then yes. But if both parties are cross-examining each other and they're not seeking truth, then we're back to where we started.
Well, how can you not be seeking truth with a cross examination, though?
Because again, like you said earlier, they could be trying to dunk on the other person.
Yeah, but how would you do that in a cross examination?
Yeah, if the person that's cross-examining me is a EO, or if the person cross-examining you is a Protestant, you can
Yeah.
still run the same risk that the person cross-examining the other person is doing it to try to dunk on them.
Yeah, but how does that work though? In a dunk, like, um, there doesn't if there's no insults, there's none of that going on. If they're actually just going after the position and the position from one side or the other sounds incoherent, that I don't even see how that's dunking, right? That's just one side being incorrect or not having a tenable position.
No, yeah, I think it goes with motive. I think motive is there, and we
Why
have
does motive even matter?
well, motive
Like, let's
matters.
say a person had a
You go
let's
ahead.
say a person had a terrible motivation for wanting to cross-examine one of your positions to make your position, appear to be false due to the fact that they thought it was, and you just didn't agree with their motive. Why would that even matter? Your
No, yeah, I
position's
don't.
gonna
And
be
yeah,
true or it's gonna be false regardless of how they feel about it, right?
yeah. In theory, I don't have any issue with that. In theory, I don't have any issue with that. But what I'm saying is, you still run the risk of some person trying to dunk on the other person. I get what you're saying if it's done respectful or whatever, but I think that's the fear that people on both sides have, that said person's going to try to embarrass me, and I think that's why there's a hesitance for conversations.
Well, I've been thinking about doing this for a while because I've always considered even though my channel isn't about, theology at all, it's not even really about religion. I guess to some extent, everything is reducible to religion, but, um, I've been thinking about hosting a series of these between Protestants and Eastern Orthodox, where they actually pick a position and they hold to internal critique on the position. No obfuscation, no now I ask a question when I'm in the middle of answering yours, but actual critiques back and forth where there's real positions that are put on the table. Is that something you're actually interested in doing?
I wouldn't be opposed to that 100%. I wouldn't be opposed to that, but I don't know if you knew, but I am going to go back to school soon. So I won't be able to do it 100% as if I were not in school. And I made this announcement earlier, so it's not like I'm running or anything like that. But
I understand.
yeah,
And,
but
good luck to you in school, by the way.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
What are you going for?
I could talk to you privately about. I'll shoot you a DM. I don't want to publicly say what it is.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. No problem,
Yeah, but
dude.
I don't mind
Yeah.
shooting you a DM. But
Yeah.
I don't mind supporting that mission. Like, I definitely would support that mission. Um I definitely support conversations, and if you're trying to make this a thing where it's like building a bridge to have individuals talk, you definitely have my support. I can't say anything about that.
Yeah, I think that that's what the breakdown is, honestly. If when I went back and I started reviewing a bunch of these, including on your channel, but it's not just you. It's not like you're the ultimate bad faith architect or something like this. It's that the discourse breaks down because some of these positions are really hard to defend. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They're hard to defend. And so I think a lot of these guys on the prot side and some on the EO side actually don't want to defend these positions. They don't want to actually stand internal critique. And I think from a theological standpoint, that's terrible. That's absolutely a terrible idea.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. You did get the better of Kelly Powers there, although it was hilarious. I'm not gonna lie. The staring contest was hilarious,
Yeah, it
but
was funny.
yeah, but I do think that there are some Protestants out there that would be willing to defend their position, and even if it were something like, "Hey, 1 hour, you cross-examine me 1 hour, and then I cross-examine you 1 hour."
Yeah, and the moderator makes you actually engage with the questions. You can't run from them on both sides.
No,
So I
yeah, I
the
think
the
that.
thing I think that makes it fair is if it's both sides have to do it,
Now, of
you
course,
know,
you'll
like
get the pushback of
yeah.
people saying you're a EO and you won't be fair. I'm sure you'll get that.
Oh, I'll bring a Protestant on and have him co-moderate.
Okay, yeah, that sounds perfect.
He governs his guy, or even better, he governs my guy and I govern his guy. That's even better.
That sounds excellent. That sounds like
Yeah.
an excellent idea.
Yeah, that's even better. So have a prot come on. There's plenty of prots who are part of the Crucible audience, because we're a political channel primarily. That's appealing to everybody, right?
Yeah,
Um,
there's this guy I
but
wanted to
that's
introduce you to. He's a up and coming Protestant, quote unquote. He might be interested in engaging in that kind of format. Um, well, I could introduce him to you real quick.
yeah, I don't
Yeah,
care.
yeah. Just give me a second. John, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, John. So this is Andrew. Andrew was proposing a topic, well, a format in which there would be somebody cross-examining you, and then you would cross-examine them, and then there'll be a Protestant moderator, and Andrew would moderate. Is that something you might be interested in the future?
Yeah, for sure. What topic? I just jumped on. What are you guys talking about right now?
No, we haven't. No top. I
Well,
mean,
we're discussing why discourse broke down and has broken down so badly
Hmm.
between Protestants, Eastern Orthodox, and Catholics. And so I think one of the reasons that it has is because of a both sides failure to stand to internal critique. And so I think if you had a series of debates between Protestants and Orthodox where the Orthodox actually had to spend an hour under cross examination for a position, if you did, um, I think that that would do a lot to um, to reach out to both sides of the community so that you could kind of bring some of this back together again.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that's why, historically formal debate has always pushed the conversation further. It's not quite as entertaining to watch, but it always pushes the conversation further and it pushes forward the idea that actually survives scrutiny.
Yeah, I agree with this. So, but this is the failure that I see on the discourse itself breaking down
yeah. Let me
is
let me tell
that
you this. Let me
yeah,
let me
go
go on
ahead.
the record and say this, Andrew. 99% of Protestants that do particular apologetics don't know their faith. That's a fact. And
Well,
if
probably 99% of all people who
yeah,
do
and what I will
that
say,
is, by the way, this is no different than politics. 99% of people who do political debate don't know about
yeah, no,
politics.
but what I will say is, if there's any good that came out of this whole fiasco, is that it put people in uncomfortable positions to where they had to defend their faith. And if they don't know their faith, well, now you have to go out and learn it. And so I think a lot of individuals who were doing particular apologetics have now been put in a position where it almost seems as fraudulent that a lot of these guys don't know what they believe. Let's just put it out there. Now, David Wood was honest and he said, "Hey, This is not
I
my
don't
cup of
know.
tea.
Yeah.
And at least he was
Yeah.
honest. But for the rest of the
Yeah, that's true.
99%, they don't know anything. They don't. And so I would say that out of this whole thing that came out, that was one of the best things. On top of that, you owe me $100 because I am going to be showing up on Wednesday to be I'm going to debate Alex Soren on Wednesday. So
I'll keep my word.
yeah,
If you do the entirety of the debate, I'll go right to your channel, send you $100. You ain't got to worry about that.
yeah.
I always keep my word, and I always pay my bets every time.
Now I will say the one person I will never debate is Rachel Wilson. I don't want any problems with Rachel. No smoke from her.
It's generally wise.
Yeah, don't want any problems with Rachel.
But kind of back to this though, I think that's the way. I think that the way is that you actually do long form cross examination based debates.
Yeah, I think
that
this would be excellent. And I think it's not about the views, obviously, but I think some of these things can go viral and actually have a good impact and bridge the gap. I do agree.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important.
Another
So,
thing I
yeah,
think would be interesting, and I'm trying it out tomorrow night. I'm going to have a couple Anglican guys who believe in baptismal regeneration. I'm going to have them come on, and the title is "Can They Convince Me?" And so it's basically just them laying out their case for however long it takes, and I'm going to write down everything that I hear, and then I'm going to try and push back and try to not be convinced. And
well, yeah,
I think,
that's the easy position, the
of
skeptic's
course, but it's an
position.
interesting way. It's an interesting way for people to discover their arguments. You see what I'm saying? So
Not
it's not
really.
even.
It's just a skeptic's position. That's the easy position to always be in, is in the skeptic's position. The
I know it's
position where
easy
you
for me.
attack and don't defend.
Yeah, of course, I know it's easy for me, but I'm saying I'm platforming their position so that people can learn about that, and then they can do the reverse, and they can learn my position as I put it forward to them, and then they, you know, charge me with all these different objections that they have and why my position doesn't work. It's just a different format to achieve the same thing of platforming both positions equally.
I don't think that does that. I think that when I look at these different, each one of these different, I don't care if it's Mormonism, it doesn't matter what it is. Philosophically, they all have pillars, right? They have pillars that they stand on, and it's those pillars that people so often want to argue around. They don't want to go down to the actual base pillar level to see if it holds up the rest of the plate, right? And those are the things that I think would be the most interesting to see under cross examination. Like there's EO guys who are chomping at the bit to do these debates, right? Like Ben Luigi, some of these other dudes, which I'd happily platform those guys as long as they were willing to stand internal critique themselves. And in fact, I'd make the EO guys go first, right? You go first under your position before they're allowed to do an actual rigorous internal examination of the other people's. But I think having a moderator there saying, no, you have to stop. We're reclaiming the time back. You have to actually answer the question so they can't run out the clock. I think that's the proper way to go about it.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah,
I think that's definitely more expedient.
Yeah, I do believe that the majority of these guys are frauds. I really don't want. I mean, look, listen. Most of these guys are frauds. I'm on the record. You can clip me. The majority of these mainstream Protestants are frauds. I'm on the record.
Well, what does that mean, though?
It means they don't know their own faith, and they would never ever do those rules that you just proposed because they would get exposed.
I agree. I think that this is actually the case for most people, that they will never actually do a debate like that because they would have to defend the position. Now, in the political arena, this is very common. Like we have to run the gauge for internal critique. I have to do it for Christian nationalism constantly. I have to do it for tons of my positions constantly, or I'm on the defense only side. And I think that that's healthy, right? It's
only fair. It's only fair.
Well, and it's just plain healthy. It's healthy for these positions to go under scrutiny. But I think that's 99% of the breakdown of discourse is this. I think that the whole idea of when you go in these comment sections, oh, they're demonic, they're demon possessed, the Satan's inside of them, all this rhetoric. It's like a lot of it just comes from office off because They don't feel like they can get to their actual positions. None of the positions are actually getting discussed.
Andrew, I wanted to ask you about that because obviously rhetoric it's so important and it's incredibly useful and it's a tool for a reason. You happen to be very good at it.
Hmm.
But what place does that hold in the discourse in your opinion? Like if there was a cross-examination or a moderated debate, you know there's certain guys out there who, you know, JP is maybe calling them frauds, but maybe they're not frauds. Maybe they're just rhetoric guys. And
Yeah, that's true.
they engage everything at the rhetoric level. And it's
No, no,
works
no,
and it's
no.
good for
Let me be very clear. By fraudulent, I mean they pretend to know more than what they actually do, and they don't know their own faith. That's what I'm saying.
sure.
But that wouldn't necessarily entail frauds, what he's saying. So what John's saying is like, look, a person can believe that they know more than they do. If they're engaging in that, even though they don't, that wouldn't actually make them a fraud, right?
And I think some people are just really, really good at the rhetoric level of any position that they hold. But as you know too, and I'm sure you've seen it in the political sphere, there's layers to this, there's levels to this. And so that was my question to you is how do you see that in the religious space or in the apologetic space? Like how high tier do we need to be? Do we need to have PhD philosophers debate everything? Or is there
No.
a place for the rhetoric level debates as well?
Yeah, well, it depends on if you're doing vibes or propositions.
Sure.
So remember that 90% of all debate is vibe debate, how I feel about stuff,
Right.
right? So if I ask you, um, do you like Donald Trump? Let's just say as a theory here. Do you like Donald Trump, John?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I like Trump too. Um,
I mean, I
but
wish you would have
whatever
released those 9/11 files.
whatever
But
but whatever reasons you like Trump for, they're going to probably line up with some political preferences you have and vibes, right? And most of it's just going to be vibes based, not unless we get to the policy level, and then it's going to switch, right?
Yeah.
And it would be the same thing with dogmas and things like this. It's rhetoric is fine, and there's lots of preacher men who are on the internet who don't want to engage in debates at all. And there's lots of political commentators who are the same way. They don't want to engage in debates at all. They just want to do their commentary. Here's what I think about things, and they're done. But that doesn't do much for the helpful nature of the discourse of debate itself. And it's like, look, I think at the foundational level, if we're going to go after actual propositions, then let's go after actual propositions. You know,
Yep. Yep. No, I totally agree. I think that's where things need to end up. I know for myself, I'm actively trying to get good at both because I understand that the purpose of debate is either to sway the opponent or the audience. And most times it's to sway the audience. That helps your cause. And so being good at rhetoric is very helpful for persuading an audience.
well,
But
yeah, I mean, but what the old three philosophers said on this and on rhetoric. It's just anything which convinces.
sure.
That's
Yeah.
rhetoric. Anything that convinces. So, like anything, whatever falls under the category of that would be rhetoric.
Right, right. And winning the debate by actually defending your position is then the most powerful form of rhetoric. So they're both important. So yeah, I agree with all that. JP, I got to duck out. Andrew, thanks for talking for a minute, man.
You're
Appreciate all of
welcome.
you.
Have a
See you
good
later.
one, John. Take
Yep.
care.
What's what's up, guys? Hey, Andrew. God bless, brother.
Shut up,
Um,
Benjamin. We come up here. We're trying to have this nice conversation.
we can have a nice
You up
conversation.
here
I
to
don't know
start
what we're
trouble?
doing.
I'm kidding. Go ahead, man.
I'm here with. I'm actually here with Fear is Truth. We're at a conference together, so he's with me right now. So, good. But what's going on here?
Well, I was trying to discuss the breakdown of why I think the dialogue between Protestants, Catholics, and Eastern Orthodox has gotten so bad.
Uh huh.
And it's my belief that the reason is because the idea of internal critique is essentially dead.
Uh huh.
And that what actually needs to happen in these debates is there needs to be a good hour of internal critique on a singular position with a moderator forcing the questions to be answered on both sides. That way we could make determinations of truth for larger audiences.
But I mean, like, even then, like, there's, like, I mean, are you talking about paradigmatic criticism, or are you talking about a particular topic? Because, like, for
Well,
example,
both would be good actually.
yeah,
Whether it's
okay,
whether it's paradigm worldview based or it is at the specific propositional level, I think both are fine, and I think both would still do very, very well under the idea of internal critique for the
hmm
purpose of audiences.
yeah. I mean, so is that what this is about? Is just about whether or not that's a good idea, or like what's
Well,
good?
it's whether or not this can even be done. Like, I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to offer up the Crucible as a platform to host these debates. I'll
Yeah,
even bring a Protestant moderator on, and the way that I would do it is the Protestant he moderates the Orthodox, and the Orthodox or vice versa or whatever. The moderators moderate the other guy. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And so in this way, there's not even an appeal to bias. But I
uh
think that 90% of these things, the breakdowns and what I hear from my audience is like they just never get anywhere, dude.
yeah. No, I mean, even like the long form debates, I feel like they don't really get to the core of a lot of the problems.
That's
In
because of why I think that is, though? I've been reviewing these. I think a lot of the reason that happens is because the moderators allow for obfuscation
Mhm,
and won't actually stop the debate, say, "I'm reclaiming the time over to the other person."
sure,
You need to answer the question, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. I mean, that sounds like I think it sounds like a great idea. I could see maybe like a. Are you thinking like a 1v1, or are you thinking like a 2v2, or
No,
what do
1v
you having?
1 person, and the view is specific, like, let's if we wanna really talk about sola scriptura, then take an hour
Yeah,
to answer the battery array of questions honestly about what the position is there. And then
yeah.
if on the other hand, you think that the church authority is an authority which needs to be adhered to, you need to stand up to internal critique there as well,
hmm
Yeah,
you know?
look, listen,
So you,
listen, I will say this. Um, there are a lot of walls that prevent conversations from happening. If Andrew can be that bridge to make conversations happen more frequently, instead of there being months of debates in advance and going through 50 emails, if Andrew can be that bridge, this can be a very great thing.
mhm.
Yeah, you just need to actually have Protestants that would be willing to take foundational, uh, positions,
Yeah,
and the Eastern Orthodox guys
most of
also would
them.
Yeah, I
have
mean,
to do it.
yeah, I mean, I would love to do this with any Protestant that's willing to try to defend sola scriptura for an hour, and I'll defend EO for an hour.
Well, not just EO for an hour, you would need to defend what their specific criticism of EO is for an
Well,
hour,
yeah, yeah,
you know?
whatever it is that they're pressing me on.
Yeah, and you would need to actually answer their questions in a good faith way, or the moderator returns their time and tells you to answer their question and not, like there's also the problem of filibustering going on forever to run out the clock, various things like this.
Uh huh.
And I think that those things can be reined in by skilled moderators.
Yeah.
Like a guy, who would be really good at doing this actually with me, surprisingly. I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, but it is true, would be Trent Horn. Trent Horn would be fantastic at, the
Oh
moderation
yeah,
aspect of
that would,
being like,
and
"No."
and I think he'd actually do it. I think
I think he probably would. I think that if the idea there is that it's gonna be a specific proposition, your own your own personal beliefs have no bearing here. It's just the argument and whether or not the person's answering the questions in regards to the argument in the way that it's being asked, towards the proposition. I think he'd do great at it.
Andrew, who would
Yeah.
be? Do you have any, like, let's say, you have any time frame to when you want to start doing this, or anybody that might participate? Because, like I said, I'm going back to school, and so I won't be able. But I'm willing to help the cause. So if I can reach out to somebody and make it happen, I could put in a good word and a good word of recommendation to a
I
Protestant.
mean, I think we should start doing them immediately. At least one a week over on the Crucible, you're gonna get, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of views you'll end up getting off of a single debate, and those we can leave up because they're very clean, right? And it's like, I consider this a public service. So a lot of the people in the Crucible aren't even interested in that kind of content. There are quite a few who are. But from my perspective, I've always done those as a public service. And so it's like, um, I think it's important. And I think that discourse at an all-time low when an election season is right around the corner. It's like, we better start reconciling some shit here pretty quick.
Yeah, but Yugi, what
I
did you want to say, brother?
I got you. So, I just a clarifying question, just to make sure. Like, you would say that, Andrew, that I guess, this new format would be more to like bridge a gap of understanding, right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
it's to try to get to the heart of the truth claim itself.
Okay. So then, in that case, then I got no contention. Yeah, but in terms
Yeah.
of like, but at least as far as I've seen, and hey, maybe things will change as these debates happen. As far as I'm understanding so far, the position is in a real sense like we're not Christians, and so look, like, I'm okay with agreeing with you politically. Like, I don't think there's at least as far as I know, like we would agree with you 99% of the stuff you're saying when it comes
Yep.
to like the politics stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, dude, like we watch your clips all the time. Me and my wife, we have a blast. You know what I'm saying? It's awesome.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like the theological sense, there really is kind of a line. You know what I'm trying to say? At least as far as I've seen, maybe that'll change, Lord willing. But
Well, there's
yeah.
there's a definitive breakdown.
Right.
There's no doubt that there is a definitive breakdown across the board between these three. I mean, I don't even know if you could call it three ideologies. That's not even the right way to frame it. But I think you understand my meaning.
Yeah, I get what you're
here.
saying. Like,
So
look, we don't, what I'm saying is, I don't think we
yeah.
have to be, because right now we're being cordial, but like I think we can like be just cut straight to the point. We don't have to dilly dally. We fundamentally theologically look at each other very differently.
Yeah,
And that's the
100%.
part. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So that's the
Yeah.
part where I like.
But we
hey, maybe,
but we do this with atheists all the time, right? Can we agree to that? Like, I debate with atheists constantly, and I debate with secularists constantly, and their entire worldview is alien. Like, your
Yeah, I get you,
worldview, I might think your worldview is wrong, but it's not alien.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the part where I think there could be quote unquote some hand holding there. But like when it comes to the Protestant and EO divide, like you're gonna see. I mean, look, I'm not trying to speak for you, but maybe people will see that, like, it becomes a little. How do I say it? I think you're starting to see. I think I don't have the words to articulate it, but I think we agree. We're starting to see it's becoming a little unbeneficial to anyone at this point. When you've got people who quite literally deny God and think it's okay to kids, right? Versus you've got, and I think, thank God, I can actually speak to you like a human being here, because a lot of EOs don't do this, dude. When I will try to level with them and say, look, I've got people in my church getting baptized, freaking repenting from doing drugs, repenting of all their hedonism, and then they're gonna look at them and say they're not a Christian. You get what I mean? Like, at what point do we put the down, dude? Because for on my side, we're standing on business here. We're standing on Christ. The other side is saying you're absolutely not. And to us, you guys don't sound like you guys sound like atheists to us, and vice versa. So I think like we need to regain the plot. You know what I'm saying, Andrew?
Yeah, there's
Like,
look, there to these grievances. I agree with many of them.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
So, and let me explain or express the position here. Right.
Yeah.
The EO side, they're like, look, doesn't do you any good, or they'll say it does do them good to move away from the hedonism and the degeneracy. Right. Like, you're never going to get any argument from me on that point. It's going to do them better to move away from that. But what their position is moving them from one position which takes them far away from God to another position which from their view takes them far away from God, is still taking them away from God. That's the position.
I get
So
you.
that makes sense to me.
Yeah,
But on the other hand,
yeah.
you have a great point here, and I'm going to give credit where credit's due, right? Is like, Protestants are going to be the key to political success for what it is that the Eastern Orthodox and their agenda is. And their agenda aligns a lot with the Protestant agenda politically, when it comes to things like a marriage, and various things like this. It's necessary that this bridge not be broken down and that there is some way for us to come to terms with some of this, because otherwise, if we're divided in the political sense, our enemies conquer us.
I
Go
wouldn't
ahead.
really consider him to be a political ally, whereas like I would
Correct.
consider a traditional Protestant and a traditional Roman Catholic to be political allies. I've been saying this for a long
100%.
time. That like other Christians, Roman Catholic and High Church Protestants particularly, are political allies, not necessarily theological allies. And I think that, we do have a lot, like, for example, like, I mean, we need to deal right now with, we have a lot of problems in this country. And, one of them is mass migration. And I think that Protestants and Roman Catholics are huge allies against that. Muslims are huge enemies, right, in that front.
Well, they're the
Right.
beneficiaries.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
They're
So,
having their families come in
yeah,
under but that aside, I'm not trying to turn this into any more than I'd want them to turn it into a preach fest. I'm not going to turn it into a my political preaching fest either. But you're right, right? I would agree. They're closer to the truth. But more importantly, right? Like I have kids that have to live in this new world, and I need to make sure that the majority of the country is Protestant, like it or not. And we
Yeah,
have
like
to have a coalition to some degree, at least politically,
yeah,
or else we can't get anywhere.
yep,
yeah, like I'll add this one thing, about what you were saying earlier about how like, hey, like EOs want to bring Protestants closer to God through their church, but there is a fundament. That's where I guess like the dividing line really cuts sharp, because like for at least for our side, and I don't want to speak for all Protestants, but I'll speak for even the classical position, and I do believe this is JP's position and mine as well. Is that, hey, look, if someone says they become EO, we say God bless, just hold firm to Christ, hold firm to the gospel, and that's all right. It's not reciprocated. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
that's
that's
where,
correct. It's the same thing
yeah,
with Roman Catholics, honestly. They
yeah,
exactly,
see us,
exactly.
we can go in and take communion with them tomorrow, and they'll allow it. We don't allow it the other direction. But
Yeah, and right
but
there,
to
there's
speak to
gonna
this,
always,
but
yeah. Go ahead. I was
yeah,
gonna say that
sure,
there's always
that's
gonna be like a hard tension there, at least on
yeah,
our
maybe,
side. And yeah,
but let me ask you this, okay? So most of my friends and family are Protestants. Almost none of them are Eastern Orthodox. This is a Protestant country. And so, like, how is it that I'm able to go out and have drinks with these guys? You know what I mean? Have the high trust levels with these guys, this kind of thing. No issues there whatsoever, no problems there whatsoever. Sometimes theology comes up and we even, might even yell at each other about it and this kind of thing. But we're able to maintain these long-term friendships. It's like you should be able to see that at the political level too. It should be fine
Yeah,
for us to be able to fight our asses off about these issues, but still be dropping leftists like they're, like it's going out of style. So I think we can kind of have our cake and eat it too in a way here. We don't have the luxury, honestly, boys. We don't have the luxury of holding these long-term grudges
no, we don't.
with people who have a lot of our same political interests in line. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? We don't have the luxury of doing that. No side has that luxury. However, I still think that these debates will do more to cross that dividing bridge than any other thing. If it's the case that we can have normal conversations like we are right now, and it's the case that you can divide the bridge theologically, where it's like, look, at least there's platforms available where you can really stand up to internal critique, this kind of thing. Even if at the end of the day, you guys thought that the Eastern Orthodox didn't really think that you were real Christians, if we're at the ballot box and we're voting for the same issues that you are, you still want us to do that, right?
yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah,
agree with you
exactly.
100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's why you
And so
can't treat every like, hey, there's even some conservative atheists that I'm friends with, right? So I know exactly what you're saying. You know what I mean?
yeah, well, yes, but it's just that they're few and far between. I know
Yeah, no,
some
yeah. Don't
too.
get me wrong. He's definitely like a leprechaun compared to the rest, but yeah,
100%,
yeah,
100%,
yeah.
and it's fine for you to call your friend who's an atheist. God wills it.
Yeah, yeah. No, no,
God
I tell him all
God
the time.
wills
It's
it.
ridiculous. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
he's
but
one of those.
No, yeah, and
He,
I
anyway.
agree,
Yeah.
Andrew. So I agree with this 100%. I think that we should be united in debating liberals. At the same time, those conversations should be had, what you're proposing. So I
Yeah,
agree. I think
there should be I think Benjamin has this kind of right? Almost an extension of privilege to people who are closer to the truth than what we would give to like Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, things like this. And perhaps we could actually build a coalition that could do something here. Like at least on the political level. There can't be ecumenism. My church will never allow that. But who cares? Like even if there's not, and these become just debates which build trust so that there's not such a brutal political divide when we need to not be politically divided. I think that has some value.
Yeah, there actually is a sentiment in our saints of like there's something unique about a Trinitarian. Like it is a unique category, and that's why we intuitively understand that like a Protestant and a Roman Catholic are in this unique category that a Mormon and a Jehovah's Witness and a Muslim is not. Right? We all intuitively know that. Well, our saints do talk about that. There is a sentiment for that in the church. It's not ecumenism. We're not advocating for making compromises and entering into communion with them, but there is an understanding that hey, we share a lot in common. We worship the same God, right? And that's something we can only say about Protestants from Roman Catholics. Only with you two can we say we worship the same God.
Right.
So I do think that is a unique category.
Correct. And so privilege category. It's like when you guys are smashing these other, these atheist lunatics and things like this, man, I want to get behind you. I'm in the audience too. I'm like, yeah, that guy. I think that's great.
I
But
just have one
yeah,
question. Can I ask one question?
yeah,
Does this mean that I get to debate the female pastors now?
that would be fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah,
Please
that would
do.
be
EOs are on. Yeah. Let's cook those female pastors. My goodness.
100.
I don't want.
Yay!
Yeah, I don't want to open up the can of worms, but I don't agree with female pastors. But let me guess. So that's a fruit of Protestantism. So I don't want to jump into that one. But
Nah, bro, don't open it, JP. Don't open it, bro.
yeah, I don't want
JP, you got to read my book, man.
No, it's actually the fruit of the filioque, bro. It's way deeper than Protestantism.
See, here we go. We reverted. Come on, we're trying to go forward.
I'm joking. My goodness, chill out, bro.
Yeah, that was funny.
There you go.
But anyway, yeah, I think so. I think that we can do this. I think that there can be a way to kind of breach at least enough of this divide where we can at least get along enough where we don't have to where everything doesn't just have to be this is brutal heresy and so therefore we can't do anything with these people. And it's like that's all nonsense, and that's a losing position ultimately for all people involved. So
Yeah, I agree.
yeah. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say, man. I just wanted to come on and chat with you. And you see, like if that other guy had debated with the dude with the mullet, I don't remember his name.
Kelly Powers.
Kelly Powers, yeah. I would have just had a conversation like I'm having with you with him. That's what it sounded like he actually wanted to do, and I was fine doing it, but I think he got a little defensive there. So it's like
Yeah, I mean, I for sure am down to see those things. Like I said, I'm pretty much done with the internet after that debate I have with Alex Soren. Again, reason being, I'm going back to school for not theology or anything like that. Like I'm going to school for a trade.
Yeah.
And so I'm pretty much out the internet. So I'll hop on a Twitter space here and there, but I definitely can recommend Protestants to do that
yeah
thing you proposed.
Maybe we'll call it the Crucible. But anyway, I got to get going. But thanks for having me up, man. Thanks for letting me say my piece. I appreciate talking with you.
No worries.
All right,
Hey,
you guys have a good
I
night.
still got love for you, brother.
Absolutely.